Good evening. Welcome to week 8 of the Barclays Premier League review. Currently sitting watching what I personally think is one of the best Champions League first half performance in history. Bayern Munich are currently 4-0 up after half an hour against a very, very good Roma team. A Roma team that caused City all sorts of problems a couple of weeks ago. This performance is, frankly, although I've had complaints about my overuse of the word "frankly" from Mark Gilligan amongst others, frankly, bewildering. Looks like Bayern have improved a lot since last season, and Xabi Alonso has made a huge difference. Anyway, back to the subject at hand, which is of course the Premier League weekend just passed. 5 topics for discussion this evening will be City versus Spurs. The second one will be Palace versus Chelsea. Third, we'll have a quick look at Arsenal v Hull, whether Wenger is past his sell-by date. We'll also look at Man United against West Brom, Monday's game, and lastly, the 8-0 shellacking that Southampton inflicted on Sunderland. So, first of all, City, what appeared to be a comfortable 4-0 victory at home to Tottenham. Sergio Aguero, 4 goals. And City were good. James Milner again continues to impress. And this game really was the tale of 4 penalties. So 2 were correct, 2 were incorrect. And Spurs actually played very well second half. Probably the best they've performed against City in the last couple of years. They looked good going forward. And if it wasn't for some miraculous saves from Joe Hart, including one from the penalty spot, they absolutely could have got a result at the Etihad. It goes to show exactly how important Sergio Aguero is for City's hopes of keeping pace with Chelsea. And at the other end, it shows how important Joe Hart is to maintaining what is a surprisingly leaky defence in terms of the chances they give up to the opposition. Again, referring back to Aguero, he's arguable. He is the best striker in the Premier League, and he's a real joy to watch. 1-on-1, he can skin anyone, and his finishing is second to none. So I think City were slightly fortunate, and the scoreline certainly flattered them. Palace against Chelsea, and actually a really dirty game. Real bit of needle to proceedings. I think possibly Chelsea wanted to make sure that they didn't make the mistake of last season and come away without the victory. Azpilicueta's challenge was pretty disgusting. Deservedly got a red card. I think the Palace boy that got sent off is a little bit unfortunate. Chelsea players rushing around the referee, and it was a fairly soft second yellow card. Chelsea's goals were magnificent. Oscar put in a beautiful free kick. Quite surprised Oscar played. Usually away from home in the tougher games, which Selhurst Park would appear to have been, Oscar is usually sacrificed for a harder working, not harder working, sorry, to say maybe more dynamic midfielder. So a Willian, for example, who can defend well, because Oscar does work extremely hard, and he scored a great free kick. The second goal was even better. Cesc Fabregas was put through after a lovely exchange of passes and put it away with aplomb. Chelsea, even without Diego Costa, looked very, very good. And it's a sign of improvement and maturity from last season. The fact that they were prepared to get stuck in as well really separates them out. Wow, that's a penalty to Bayern now. 5-0 in the first half. Crazy. It really sets them out from some of the other contenders. Your Arsenals, for example. They really are willing to get stuck in and get hurt to get those victories, and They really do have the look of a very high-end Jose Mourinho team. Moving on to the Gooners now. Another poor result and a poor performance. Again, showing the lack of foresight that Arsene Wenger showed in his transfer dealings. He came out this week and said that he would be considering buying a defender in January. Well, what's the good of that if your chance to compete for the title is gone by that time, which it will undoubtedly have been. A home against a Hull team that is strengthened but should still be cannon fodder was hugely disappointing for Arsenal fans. One bright spark was Alexis Sanchez. He scored a lovely goal and set up well back for the equaliser with some lovely footwork. And I wouldn't go as far to say that the Wenger should be sacked. I know that's been a lot of chat on that on social media. I don't know who you'd bring in to replace him, and I never advocate replacing a manager so early into a season. But I do think another manager could be doing a better job. Who that manager is up for debate, but I don't think Wenger is doing a good job at Arsenal. I'm just going to put that out there. See what you guys think. Hit me back with your comments and statements on that. Turning now to Manchester United's 2-2 draw with the Baggies on Monday night. I think first and foremost, you have to commend Alan Irvine and the job he's doing at the Hawthorns. West Brom playing some lovely stuff. They look very comfortable on the ball. And Andre Wisdom stood out for me. I said at the beginning of the season he'd be one of the young players to watch. Defensively, he was excellent going forward and solid at the back as well. In midfield as well, Graham Dorrans I thought was excellent. Barrohinho continues to impress up front. And if they can get Sessegnon consistently performing to the standard that we all know he can, then West Brom can be absolutely fine this season. They look very good. Man U, on the other hand, will be frustrated. I don't think in the grand scheme of things this is a bad result. West Brom have been very good recently. And both the nature, coming back to get the draw of the result, can only be a good thing for Louis van Gaal. Of course, if you look at the sides of the two teams, in terms of their reputation, etc., players available, Manchester United should be winning that game every day of the week. Van Persie looks sluggish again, as he has all season, as he does for Holland. And I thought, in terms of stature, the team looked very small for Man U. You had a tiny midfield, and I'm maybe slightly over-egging this point, but I think the best teams are those that are physically imposing, as well as the ones that play good football. So you look at the two only contenders to the Premier League this season, Manchester City and Chelsea, and they have a number of physically imposing beasts in their team. Chelsea, they're Cahill, Ivanovic, Matic, Costa, who's the spine of the team. The same at City. You've got Kompany, Mangala, Torre, Fernando. These are players that are very good on the ball, very good technically, but are also physically very imposing. And I think that's important to any team that has aspirations to win the title. And when Fellaini came on, he made a big difference, scored a great goal. And I think Manchester United could do with some players who are maybe a bit bigger than the players they currently have. Lastly, we have the shock result of the weekend. Southampton's demolishing of Sunderland. Again, just very, very impressed with Southampton. The football they're playing is mouth-watering. Tadic looks fantastic. Graziano Pelle has fitted in very well. And I think the speed with which those players have bedded in is the most incredible thing. The manager as well seems to know the Premiership inside out, despite having been here for a short period. The shock of the result is you've seen massive results in the past. So, Tottenham beating Wigan by a similar score. Man United beating Ipswich 9-0. And these results do happen, but usually it is the result of a team with much bigger resources, a team chasing the championship, beating a team who's struggling with relegation and wouldn't necessarily focus on that game as a priority. But in this one, it was two teams that on paper were relatively comparable. And the difference in hunger, desire between the two teams was staggering. At 6-0, Southampton were getting waved forward by their manager. They were pressing high up the park. They wanted to score more. That's incredible. It says a lot about the team in place there. Probably does have a little bit to do with Pochettino and the ethic and the system that he put in place last season. But I don't think it can be underestimated how much of an effect Ronald Koeman's having there. And an unbelievable scoreline. Sunderland, who finished last season so well, struggling a little bit. Very interesting to see who Gus Poyet sacks after that performance and who retains their place in the team. But that result doesn't bode well for the rest of the season for them. Could be a wake-up call, and hopefully for Sunderland fans it is. Anyway, we'll go back to Champions League viewing. Thanks for stopping by, and I will actually probably see you on Thursday night. We're maybe going to do a little Scottish Championship special, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and I shall see you later. Good night.